Thank you.
Showtime.
We're good. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Today is Wednesday, February 1st. And I will call the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Are we echoing? Good. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Today is
She
Wednesday.
just needs to mute the live stream, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't echo. All right. So welcome. Today is Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. Already called the meeting to order. This is the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners meeting. All three commissioners are here, so we do have a quorum. Today, as the first meeting of the month, is our employee recognition. And so we're both honoring employees at their 5, 10, 15, and so on year anniversaries, as well as meeting our new hires. So I will start with employee recognition of our existing employees, recognizing their years of service. And I think Council Yule has their certificate and pins to hand out. So Benjamin Cloud, Sheriff's Office, 10 years. Not Benjamin.
And
Thank you.
accepting the Academy
Yeah.
Award for
All right, Vernon Kessie. Yes, Public Works, 5 years. Yay. Stella Trimmer, Health and Human Services, 5 years. Let's see. Jane can take it.
Is this for Stella?
Okay. And then Shelby Houston, Health and Human Services, 5 years. Yay, Shelby. Jane Link. Oh, I didn't know you were on the list today. Special day.
Did kind of snuck on.
Jane Link, Human Resources, 5 years. All right, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jaylene. Oh, okay, you're going to come up and do the. Okay, come on. So if you could just introduce yourself for the record.
So, my name is Danny Martinez. I am HR assistant, and these are the new hires. Wendy Murphy, Planning Department Permit Specialist. Naisa.
Maybe stand up when your name's called.
These are not.
Nope.
They're not here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Naisa Chastain, Human Resources Contract Employee. Amy Weckner, Health and Human Services Department, Community Health Nurse. Corbin Collins, Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sheriff Patrol, and John Warner, Transit Department, Transit Driver. Thank you. Thank you.
And my name is Luke Van Horn. I just started 2 days ago at the DA's office as a legal assistant.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice.
Hi, my name is Renee Lehman. I'm a case manager too over at the Lee Clinic for Health and Human Services.
Yay.
Hi, Stacy Kerrigan, Youth Care Specialist.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Wilma Santiago, and I'm a community health worker at the Lincoln City County Clinic.
Yay.
Good morning.
Hi.
Monique Lamone, Personnel Coordinator for Health and Human Services.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Hi.
My name's Francie LaCroix, and I work at Primary Care in Lincoln City, and I'm a front support person.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good. Okay. Photo. Everyone gets to squish together there. Don't worry. Yay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to Lincoln County. Happy to have all of you. And you don't have to wait for 5 years to come back to a meeting, by the way. You're welcome to pick up before that. So, all right, moving on to the adoption of the consent calendar. I These are items of a routine nature, but your staff or commissioners can pull for discussion. I will see a note on A and B. It looks like we're still missing some information in red. Are we ready to go on those? We're good. Okay. Anything else commissioners or staff want to pull for discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd move for adoption of the consent calendar as presented.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
all right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to decision action item. This is establishing a geographic boundary sub-areas and licenses for the short-term rental STR licensing program. We've had these discussions over the last couple of weeks. And we directed staff to come up with the paperwork for us to make the decision and action today. Council Yule.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kristen Yule, Lincoln County Council. So if you look at the proposed order, under Lincoln County Code 4.420 sub 4, you're required to establish 7 geographical sub-area boundaries. Attached to the order is the proposed map with those 7 areas that you have been considering over the past month. So we have 7 areas. Within those areas, as you indicated last week, you set the regions as follows. Region 1, 42 licenses. Region 2, 9 licenses. Region 3, 5. Region 4, 26. Region 5, 7. Region 6, 47. Region 7, 45 licenses. And so this order sets out those boundaries and also sets the licenses to those limits. As you can see, this can be changed by an order subsequently. So this is nothing that's set in stone, but this is what was requested last week.
Thank you, Council Yule. Just a few points of clarity based on emails I'm getting. Is while we did use percents to get to those numbers. In fact, if people were here or watched the video, we even took a recess so we could calculate. We're not using percentages in the actual order. We're using numbers because that's a lot easier for staff to track and be compliant with. So while a percent was used, the order is actually going to be numbers, not a percent. So I just wanted to clarify that. Any questions from either commissioners?
No questions.
No,
No
none for me.
questions.
Madam Chair, I did,
Yes.
we talked about future ideas and I had handwritten those. I have typed those up. My intention is not to deliberate about them
Mhm.
today, but I did want to make sure that I was accurate about the
Okay.
things I said. So I've typed that up and would love to submit that into.
Do you want to read them now or?
I think they're similar and mostly mirror what I said last week.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready for a motion?
yes.
Okay.
I'll move that we adopt establishing the geographic subareas and limits on short-term rental licenses under Lincoln County Code 4.405 through 4.460.
I'll second the motion.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, now moving to, short agenda today. Now moving to commissioner reports. Commissioner Hall, anything to report?
Yeah, I'd like to continue the report I did last week about the governor's proclamation on homelessness and where things seem to be heading. On Monday, the governor announced details of the $130 million ask she is going to present to the legislature for immediate action on homelessness in the 10 counties that were included in the proclamation. And I can just really quickly run through the highlights of that package. And I'll rounding up or down. Almost $24 million to pay for 600 new shelter beds and hire more housing navigators to help connect people with shelter and services. 54 million to help rehouse 1,200 people, largely through rental assistance and leasing of vacant homes. 5 million to the 9 sovereign tribes in Oregon to support tribal members at risk of homelessness. 5 million for culturally responsive organizations, 2 million to help local communities with sanitation services, 1.8 million to help support emergency responses being managed by the Office of Emergency Management and Oregon Housing and Community Services. So
That's a proposed budget.
right, exactly. So, one of the points I wanted to make today is we need to be ready to act, but haste is not necessary. Peggy McGuire, Executive Director at Community Services Consortium, gave us all 3 of the counties who are part of CSC a draft ordinance, a local proclamation of a state of emergency. If we want to go that route, I did speak to the director at Oregon Housing and Community Services a couple of days ago, and she said that they're working on essentially a plan or a route that we could apply for inclusion in the declaration. But, this is at this point just an ask from the governor. We don't know if the legislature, of course, will support it, change it, or totally rework it with something else. But I think this is where we stand at this moment.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Hall.
sure. Thank you
I
for
believe
that.
There's going to be an inclusion process as well, but haven't seen
Yeah.
what that means. So Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, I
What's your
just
report?
wanted to touch on my tour of our jail last night as a part of the Citizens Academy. And, you've been on the tours before.
And I think our new staff go on a tour after this. So
Oh, you do?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, fascinating. And I did want to give a shout out to our corrections officers and the sheriff's department. I mean, there were so many things I didn't understand about what a complex operation it is over there. The facility that never sleeps. And I just appreciate the work that our team does. And it was fascinating and good to understand more about what's involved. So
Yes.
Great.
that's the extent of my report today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I had a letter I wanted to read.
Oh,
This was from Keith Barnes. And he wrote this to the sheriff's office and specifically the animal shelter, thanking them. I was going to read it, but I see Keith sitting in the back. And because it's your letter, I think you should read it.
I would be glad.
You want me to read it? Okay. All right. So these are Keith's words, but I just thought this was a really nice story and a nice letter. So I just wanted to read it. Says, I would like to express my sincerest thanks to the Lincoln County Animal Shelter and especially Sue Giles and Sarah Weinbeam. Last week, January 10th, 2023, a houseless veteran who our office has been working with showed up in dire straits. She had just been released from the Newport Hospital emergency room against medical advice. She was in need of hospitalization, but she refused treatment as she was afraid of her dog's safety. The dog named Dobby, okay, is her only companion and is very important to her. I immediately reached out to the animal shelter and spoke with Sue after explaining the situation. It was decided to have the veteran take the dog to the shelter so that she could seek medical treatment. The shelter was very gracious to accept the animal and take excellent care of him. Dobby was clean and given the shots he needed so that he could be housed in a kennel if need be. The next day, Sarah Weinbein and I worked out some logistic details on the care and security of the dog. On Thursday, I received a concerned call from Samaritan Health saying that the veteran was wanting to leave the hospital again. I was able to speak with her and alleviate her concerns and reassure her of Dobby's safety. Sarah then sent me photos of Dobby, at which I then emailed to the hospital staff to show the veteran so she could visually see that her dog was safe so she could have the photos on her bedside. The next day, it was determined that Dobby was needing to be sent to a kennel for further housing. The animal shelter made arrangements with a local boarding kennel who agreed to house Dobby until the veteran was discharged. The shelter even assisted with transporting him there. After the veteran was discharged, we were able to retrieve the dog and reunite him with the veteran. The best part of the story, while she was hospitalized, a home became available, and through some of our community partners, the veteran and Dobby are now housed. If it wasn't for the care that the shelter took for ensuring Dobby was safe, I am reasonably sure that the veteran would have succumbed to her sickness. The shelter, in my own belief, saved that veteran's life. And from the veteran community, I really appreciate what they did. So I just wanted to give a big thank you to the Lincoln County Animal Shelter. And thank you, Keith, for sending this letter to them. Big thank you.
Awesome.
All right, nothing else. Oh,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I goofed. I had one other thing I wanted to share and I did not, so if I could slip this in.
sure.
Release from Oregon Housing and Community Services that a couple of days ago that the Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Centers program has been awarded a Project Turnkey 2.0 grant in the amount of $977,000, which will help them to complete the final phase of renovation of a building the city of Lincoln City donated to them in 2019 for emergency shelter and transitional housing.
Wonderfulness. Yeah, wonderfulness. All right, moving on from commissioner reports, we now have public comment. Ms. Capitelli, do we have any online people waiting for public comment? All right, so I see our written public comment through Smart Sheets.
Yeah, I think we maybe have 2 items. Okay.
Okay. Do we have any people waiting to provide remote public comment?
Want me to help you get there? Hover above the above menu and there you go. Yeah.
All right, if you want to give public comment, raise your virtual hand, please. Don't see anybody. Do we have anybody in person that would like to provide public comment today? No, okay. With that, we will go ahead and adjourn our meeting. Our next Board of Commissioners meeting is Wednesday, February 8th, 2023 at 10 a.m., both in this meeting, in this room and